The Mayo Experience.
Mayo Experience. Mayo Experience. Mayo Experience. Experience.
Welcome to the Pat Mayo Experience. Byron Nelson. AT&T Byron Nelson picks preview. One and done. We recapping last week a little bit, getting to our picks for this week, breaking down the course, breaking down the field. It's a brand new course this time around. We got, what is it called? Trinity Forest, although there are no trees on the course, so it's kind of an odd name. It is surrounded by a forest, but this is completely clear-cut, brand new course, opened in 2016, so we'll get into the minutia of what's going on with that course a little bit later on. But Geoff Fienberg is here with me. What's going on, dude?
Webb
was fun. You're back from Nashville.
Yes. I worry about the people that have been backing Webb so strongly. Like, because I imagine there are a lot of guys, because statistically he's sort of been popping on a lot of numbers all year, been backing him. And then they went to Wells Fargo, a local course for him, and he was like in that 25, 28 to 1 range. Pissed a couple people off that have been so loyal to him, and then they said, nah.
That was
Not
me.
for me.
I didn't back him at Wells Fargo either, but I've been a big Webb supporter. Completely missed the boat. No Webb, no money. It was a bad week. Jimmy Walker top 10 was the only thing I walked away with. Because Tiger put it in the drink. Yeah. If Tiger had got the top 6, it actually would have been quite a nice week. But no.
I'll get to that. And what's so funny is, like even Friday before Webb got on his heater, because he it was all in the back 9, right? Like 6 in a row or something stupid like that. It's like, this is going to be an amazing weekend. Like, look at all these names. Like, everybody's bunched up. Like, this is really exciting. Not even, giving any credence to Tiger or Spieth or, JT. Kind of felt like they were all too far in. And then Webb just, sort of said, no, screw that.
Yeah, I'm running away with this.
Screw it. And you talked about the variance in the putting. It happens. And
now he's good at putting.
Poured.
Well, we'll talk about that a little bit later on.
And he jokes because he's...
But as it pertains to Adam Scott and Keegan Bradley, they both shifted their putting stroke as well. Adam Scott's basically using the cheater putter again. And now he's putting well.
Yeah, they're kind of all trying to adopt the Kuchar-Tim Clark current method.
Yeah, or the Langer method. After they saw Langer be able to do it at the Masters and not get penalized for it, they're like, why not try it?
And Webb, his original belly, he joked, he didn't really go to any... he snapped it in half. He's going to throw it in the garbage. His wife made him keep it because, you want a U.S. Open with that thing. Let's put it in the trophy case. And, it's funny. He says, there's a great article about it that I read last night that he was sort of talking about. There's no doubt that he kept the belly putter. That belly putter's goal for guys like Webb Simpson, Adam Scott is, just please make me, 30 to 65th ranked. Right? That's the goal. Now he's I could never have do what I did last week with the belly putter. It just would have been impossible. that putter was there to keep me level, with everyone else. And now, he seems to have found a bit of a comfort zone. And I don't know, you think he makes a Ryder Cup team, or it's too early to...
Too early to tell with that. There's a lot of guys. We'll talk about that in a second as well. I want to let everyone know that you can go to Fantasy National right now, become a member, create your own custom power rankings. There's the new mixed condition model, lineup generator, ownership projections, tournament simulator. Check all of that out at fantasynational.com. And I am aware that there is news, and I will talk about that, just not today. Once I get some more information, we'll get into that a bit in the future because it's exciting times. But I did want to talk about a few things stemming from the players just a little bit and give the episode a like. That always goes a long way to keep things free.
I have one double-starred takeaway from the players.
Is it Phil's stupid shirt?
Oh, forgot about that. You want to start there?
Yeah, let's start there.
You got
how much did he get paid to wear that?
Well, okay, here people don't get a joke. I make fun of the shirt, and it was perfectly timed tweet Thursday. It goes off I hope he scores. I hope his score is deserving of a guy wearing that shirt in 90-degree heat on the golf course. He scored the score he deserved to score while wearing that tweet or shirt, and I understand that he gets paid a lot of money to wear the shirt. Breaking news. Thanks for the update. Yes, he's a winner.
He doesn't need the money, though.
Yeah, it's pretty stupid.
He's not wearing that again.
And he can get paid to wear any shirt. You don't think I know he's never gone that way, but you don't think a Nike or an Under Armour would love to have him? Might be a get Under Armour probably doesn't want older
I think they're good with any sort of exposure. Why not try to break into the old man
you're
market?
right. It's not like he can't get money for wearing like any shirt, even the Callaway, Funny Phil logo shirts he was wearing. And the announcers, Faldo, was just ripping him for it the whole time.
Johnny Miller threw some shade at him on Sunday. Big time.
We're not Phil guys. And I could tell that was that registered with you as well as like a little aggressive.
Yeah, well, they did a flag because Spieth was in the weird bunker on 10.
Yeah, and Bones was reminiscing.
Yeah, and they showed a flashback to I believe it was the year Phil won, 2007, and he was in the same spot and somehow got it on the green, and they went through this entire...
And they made it to like a card window.
Yeah, he's like, and Bones was like, if he had told me that, I would have tried to talk him out of it. Yeah, that's not what happened. Then it just cuts back to Johnny Miller. He's like, Phil had to go park his car at the airport on Friday. It's like, thanks, Johnny. Jesus Christ.
Okay. Yeah, that registered with, even guys that aren't Phil fans, that registered as like, whoa. Like, that didn't even make me laugh. I was like, I don't know. I don't know why we can make fun of him and Johnny can't, but that was like, I'll give him his moments. He deserved like props there.
Johnny Miller also claimed that like Tiger Woods should make, after he missed like an 8-foot putt, he also said like Tiger should make like 98% of those. Like, no one's making 98% of putts from there. Johnny, give your head a shake, pal. Like, he's take him off the air. He's ridiculous at this point. And he's real negative about everything. Why be so negative? His only comment is like, they're not as good as me. All these shots are easy. I'd make it. Like, thanks, Johnny. Thanks for the insight.
Yeah, even though there was a point, there was an article on Awful announcing about it, how he refers to like 30-foot putts as easy, essentially. Like, no, very makeable. Okay, we get it. They're pros. Like, if there's an easy line, like, yes, they're all makeable, but settle down. A couple takeaways, or we want to stay on the shirt?
Do you have anything more to add on the shirt? I just thought it was funny. Yeah, and even Spieth threw shade at him. Like, what are you doing, man?
Yeah. A couple things. I got one thing, triple stars, but I'll just get to the double star.
Okay.
Brooks looked great, right?
Oh,
and he had that scare, and all but that 117th hole. I would say he played every hole but one for the entire tournament. Just great.
I mean, you could say the same thing about Hideki.
Sure, maybe not to the extent.
Well, he didn't get the extra opportunity to play because he didn't make the cut.
Fine, yeah, sure, and
List too. Like List tanked it away on that same. Sometimes 17 gets you.
Yeah, no. So full marks to Brooks, and of course that shouldn't suit him. But Brooks, like any great player, like when they're playing well, like I don't care. There's no such thing as like a good course, bad course for them. Like when you're dialed in, these guys so good.
Look at Dustin this week. He wasn't even dialed in and still played well. And of course, he's not supposed to play well. Brooks 45-1 at the U.S. Open.
I got it.
Oh, you got it?
Yeah.
I haven't made any.
I played it a while ago.
The only U.S. Open bet I have is Rory at 40.
I played it a while ago.
Weird parlay.
I gotta search the parlays. We're not there. It's weird. It's gonna be here very soon.
In a month, month's time.
Yeah. Triple starred, incredibly annoying and enjoyable at the same time. But there's an expletive written beside this triple star. There's two words here. It's Tiger and the 4-letter expletive. Not so much that he should have won. I thought he played great, but I think what happened is it was the one opportunity to maybe get the biggest number we'll get in the next 4 years, 3 years, 2 years.
The 40?
Yeah.
We'll see.
I just thought he played great. Like he came in under the radar from that board perspective, and now I think next time we see him, he's going to just be shot up again.
I think it depends on where he plays. Yes, he put it into the water on 17 on Sunday, but it's very clear, man, like these shorter courses take Tiger. All of them so far. Every short course that he's played well.
Carnoustie.
Yeah.
Short course.
Be on the lookout. Wherever they're playing the PGA is short too, I believe.
Where they play it?
Belvedere, I think it is.
I was going to say Balustral, but that was a couple years ago.
And I could be wrong on that. I just remember doing my initial research around Christmas that it seemed like it was like an accuracy course. I thought it might be the spot where like Kuchar finally wins. But what about Tiger versus Phil?
Well, yeah, that was also part of it. The Tiger made so much money. See, Tiger struggled Thursday and Friday, but he didn't really struggle. The purse was so high in his skins versus Phil that like when your opponent's putting it in the water all day, you don't have to be so aggressive.
To catch up to Webb, he would have had to been though. Had he have known that at the time. I think the stat was Brooks started the final round 17 shots off the lead.
Here's the thing. I thought so many players. I was impressed by so many guys. And it really, outside of one guy, it was, for the most part, like it played like the players normally does. One guy sort of just took it by the balls.
Who else impressed you then?
I just mean the consortium of like all those names, all the big names at the top. I thought lots of guys showed up, played well. Kirdash, this is sort of like the lower tier guys. Harold Varner.
Charles,
Jimmy
sneaky
Walker
playing well now.
has been sneaky, except like you always know. We'll talk about him in a few minutes. You just know he's gonna like bogey the birdie hole that he's gonna need to win. I would guess this week. I just a lot of guys really faded hard, but I'm a sucker for Norin. Cantley's weekend wasn't what I had hoped it would have been, but it's all for naught because no one would have caught.
I could have used that Cantley T6. I'm not going to lie to you.
Yeah, even Dustin, as you mentioned, played strong till Sunday, and he lost his number one.
Yeah, that's surprising. It's a weird way to get the number one. I think it's
pretty anticlimactic,
yeah.
But that's what they work on. It's like BCS.
Listen, Thomas has been the best player over the last 18
doubt
months. He
about
should
it.
be number one.
And to be honest, it kind of put into perspective how well, for the most part, Dustin has played, that he sort of held on to it.
Well, Dustin had that run too. It was like when Day went through his run. As soon as all that, like, remember he had like the 6 wins and 8 starts or whatever it was?
Yeah, once they sort of start to fall off the...
Once they fall off, you get the
lose,
year bump, and then you get the 2-year bump, then they're gone. So I think Dustin's starting to do that now. He's still second in the world rank. Like, it's not like he's playing poorly. He has a win this year. Let's not forget about that. But yeah, just he's never really in contention in these things anymore. Like, even at the Masters, he had a fine finish, but he was never in it. He never made that run. He never
got that like heater, but he was kind of there with like Rom and some other elite players.
But Rom did make that run eventually. And like Spieth made that
Sunday.
run. Ricky made that run, and then Dustin at all these events, either he's too far behind to make the run and keep going, or he's just never in it.
He hasn't shaken off the loss to Ted Potter Jr.
It would be rough. Ted Potter Jr. had a good week.
Tiger is now currently 1 world ranking spot ahead of TPJ.
Oh, poor TPJ. He had so much to brag about for so long. Tiger, at one point yesterday when he was in second, was up to 51st in the world rankings. But I think he ended up... Where did he end up coming in? Because there's only so many tournaments Tiger's going to win.
World rankings?
Yeah.
I was looking at it last night because I know he's 1 spot ahead. I think he's maybe 79.
79? I thought he was higher than that. Maybe he wasn't because he dropped off so much. Let's see. Because he needs to get to that top 50. Big time. Big time. So he can play Bridgestone for the final time that they play Firestone. Because they're moving to the Memphis course next year for the WGC. Tiger needs to get himself into that. Tiger is 80th in the world rankings. 1 spot behind Billy Ho, who's a 20-1 favorite this week. Strange. 1 spot ahead of Ted Potter. 2 spots ahead of Bo Hostler, Bill Haas, Shane Lowry, Benny Ann, Snedeker. They're all down here. It's basically this entire field minus Tiger. This is what we're dealing with. So anything else from the world of the players?
No. I don't know. Move on. I'll be not going to lie. I spent a lot of the weekend inside or with the family. There's a moment yesterday where I looked at it and it thought like it could get close for like a second.
Danny Lee had to make the run.
Tiger just birdie. I don't know. I saw like Tiger was 4 back. I'm like, should I leave the park right now?
The answer was no.
No.
Duffner had a good week too and cost himself billions of dollars on 18 by missing a 5-foot putt.
He's playing well. He's he's another guy. Sneaky.
But it gets like all I wanted to do was I went into last week and we talked about it, and I talked about it on the DraftKings show. The players have been such a taker for me over the past 3 years. Like, I'll dial down my exposure. And then it got to it and I was like, oh, I like this name at 150-1. They're good.
There's some strong numbers.
And it's just losing again. I hate this tournament. I hate it. Sucks my wallet.
Well,
dry.
I guess a field like this, you're back in your comfort zone.
This is my comfort. Like the world's worst field, definitely my comfort.
Well, I don't know. Hit Landry in a field that you would argue was, I guess,
similar or worse.
At the time, was the worst field. When we did that show, we had decided, or the world ranking status decided, worst field we'd seen, at least at the top. This is very similar, except it's got Jordan Spieth, and maybe you can tell me and everyone else about this place.
Well, did you want to? They still haven't released the schedule for next year yet. I know you did want to talk about that,
there's nothing really to talk about. There's a lot of stuff that's sort of open.
Yeah.
The DC event. There's talk of maybe something with Detroit.
It looks like they're trying to save Houston.
Yeah, there's sponsors that are like, I don't know. That weird. Like the one next week is no longer even Dean and DeLuca, right?
No, it's the Fort Worth Classic or something.
So is this one going to take over the former transitions, Copperhead, Tampa, whatever 18 names now Valspar that they've called that one is the one with the most
I have no idea.
recent names.
I guess we'll have to wait and see.
The
The only thing I really care about is what happens to the Canadian Open.
I don't know if that's going to move. I think they've sort of...
Can we make it a WGC? Can we make it a Euro event?
See, I don't know if that's possible.
Because I believe...
The Euro event, there was some rumor, but I think it's still too important to the Canadian Open to maintain that PGA affiliation. Has a lot more cachet. A European Tour event, there were rumors there, and the guy running the European Tour is a Canadian Toronto guy, Pat, that it would be such a great event because so many of these great players that do play a couple European Tour events, and there are requirements to get your card. You have to play X number.
Patrick Reed does
it. He likes to travel everywhere. Guys, maybe that don't, I'm just saying it would be a perfect check mark for a lot of those type of players. So the field would probably be very strong.
Yeah,
but I don't think they're ever, I think they'll suck up their crappy spot and rely on their affiliation with RBC to bring some front end guys like Dustin Johnson, Matt
Kuchar, Snedeker, Graham Dillette, if he ever plays again.
Yeah.
It would be nice for the Euro Tour, though, because you guys can go do the Middle East swing in January, and then they could add this one on, too, if they wanted to.
But it's also the back of the British Open.
Yeah, but it wouldn't have to be if it was a Euro event.
Oh.
You're like, the Byron... The Byron Nelsons this week, so is the Canadian Open.
I want to have a couple words on the Euro event this week.
You give it to me right now.
Okay, I don't really know the field.
Thomas Peters is playing.
But it's an official event, unlike the Super Sixes. Yes, I know Peters and Loughton, I believe, are at the top.
Peters 33-1.
Okay, do you know why?
I don't.
It's called I don't know the sponsor, but the second name after the tournament host is called the Knockout. It's it's an official event, unlike the Perth Super Sixes, Pat. It's an official Euro points, full everything. Half stroke play, half an instant 9-hole match play.
What?
The weekend is all 9-hole matches.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's why
it's so weird.
You have your favorite Peters and Coltsarts at Peters and Loughton at 30-1. It's called the Belgium Knockout or something.
I like the name.
Yeah. So I don't know. I'll probably look on Twitter later in the week. I'm gonna bet some guys because the whole joke there is just make the knockout. Then I don't know. It's fun TV and exciting. But it's a Thursday, Friday stroke play, weekend match play, 9 holes.
I kind of like these gimmicks a little bit more than the team event.
Yeah. I don't know. This one's official. I guess kind of like the PGA one.
Yeah, no, I get that. But the European Tour is good at experimenting with these stupid types of tournaments.
Well, that's all Pelly.
Sure, but it's all they usually counter program it, and this is a weird week because as we'll see with the field this week, a lot of the Euros are now going back to Europe until the U.S. Open. They're either chilling in Florida, going back to Europe, but they're not playing this week at all. And it's a good week to run one of these things. They usually run them counter a big PGA tournament where they know they're not going to get any big draws. So it's an interesting time to do it.
All right.
All right.
I got really excited talking about that for some reason.
Yeah, you did. The course. Trinity Forest in Dallas. First year at the course for the Byron Nelson. 500 FedEx points. Billy Horschel is the defending champion, but that doesn't really mean anything because it's not the same course, so who cares? When I was thinking of key stats, what do you look at when it comes to this sort of thing? You don't really know. It's a longer course. It's almost 7,400 yards in a par 71. So instantly, par 4 scoring is going to be kind of big. There's I believe it's the 5th. You can drive it, potentially. The greens are champion Bermuda grass, but the fairways are something called Zoysia, Trinity Zoysia, which, as I did some research into, they're basically like Bermuda, but they're thinner blades, so the ball pops up a little bit on them. Jordan Spieth, through interviews, has kind of said that you're just going to have to hit the ball as high as possible and try to land it on quadrants of the green. I was talking to Bowditch. She said the length doesn't matter here. Guys are going to be able to run the ball wherever they want. It's more of a strategy course than people think it's going to be, because it looks like a links course. It looks like you just took Scotland and put it in the middle of Texas. But I think it's going to play more like your Erin Hills, your Chambers Bay, maybe Pinehurst. If it really firms up and dries out over the weekend, guys might be able to putt from off the greens instead of chip from off the greens, which throws a wrench. So for key stats, I really kept it simple. Ball striking, strokes gained, and with an emphasis more on approach over driving. Scoring on par 4s, scoring on par 5s, and birdies are better. It's like the ticky-tack rudimentary week. There's nothing specific I want to get into because I really don't know. So it's a weird week like that. The course looks cool, though. Jordan Spieth is a member of this course. It opened in 2016, like I mentioned. Ben Crenshaw designed it with some other guy. It was built on a landfill. And they couldn't dig down due to environmental concerns, so they just had to come and put dirt on top of it. So it's not like hilly, but it's weirdly undulated the entire way. And the greens are like those stupid Pinehurst greens, which are the big cereal bowls. And they have like different levels and slopes to them. And initially they said, tournament organizers said, because where the greens are so sloping that they're going to dial it down to like 10.5 on the stimp. So it might run really slow. And then with no trees on the course, if you get like an east-west crosswind, it's just going to wreak havoc on the field. We know Texas and these stupid wind events. But if it's come from the south, apparently it's like not a big problem. That's the info that I've gleaned from a course I really know nothing about. I watched some videos on it. Well, that's not really telling me. Thoughts on the course?
It's a great unknown for me. I don't know. That was a good breakdown, but it still didn't really do much.
Fair.
Like,
you're just taking the guys you want to take then.
Kind of, that have sort of I don't know. There's a couple guys could be popular. It makes sense. Spieth is the number. I've seen as low as 450.
Oh, really?
On Will Hill.
So 5.5 on Bet365 right now. So the top of the board, Spieth is 5.5. Kuchar and Sergio are both 14-1. Then we have Hideki coming in at 18. Billy Ho at 20. Walker at 22, Grace at 25, Scott at 22. It's a big drop off from 125 last week. And Leishman at 28-1. That's your sub 30-1 crowd.
Where would Hadley have been if he didn't withdraw?
20. Honestly, he would have.
Thank God he withdrew then.
Because that would have sucked up all your monies?
Yeah.
If we're looking for value on this board, I gotta feel like it's. I don't know what to do with it, but I gotta feel like it's Sergio or Hideki. 14 and 18-1. Like you're getting me. Listen, I'm not saying Billy Horschel can't win, but he's 20-1, and you put two world-class players just above him. That's ridiculous.
I would agree with that. Sergio, I don't know. I mean, he's now a Texas native for the most part. I don't know. He's
ball striker extraordinaire.
Yeah, he's finding a lot of trouble lately, though. For the most part, has he not been?
Most of it's on the greens, though. Let's see. Last week,
since the Masters where he had that blow up, it's been Valero and here, and we're not counting the team event with Rafa.
Yeah, so he came 7th and then 4th, Mexico, Valspar, and then he went miscut, 70th. So he's not in good form right now, but he's one of the few good players in this field. Do you think that Spieth runs away with this?
I'm worried about it.
I'm not, and maybe I'm an idiot. Like, this comes from the same guy that faded Webb Simpson last week, so take what I have to say with a grain of salt. By the way, I went back and looked, because I always like to reassess, like, where... Pat, you did very poorly at this event. Why did you do so poorly? I've started to try to reassess these kind of things. And I released power rankings of my key stats on courses less than 7,200 yards. And I trusted, like, the short-term weightings of it, so I looked at, like, 15, 20 rounds. I went and looked at, like, my 2012 to now rankings of what it spit out. Number 1 and 2 were Webb and Duffner. I didn't believe it. So the process was right. My implementation of the process, very bad.
But also, I think everything you said... I mean, listen, we're here to talk about the board. Everyone, even someone on a heater in terms of picking winners. I don't think you ever get paid enough for guessing which one of these guys wins. We know how hard it is. And we're just trying to talk people, through it as we see it, Pat. But I think a lot of the stuff we talked about, you specifically last week, was kind of right on the margin. I mean, for starters, don't even start looking at these favorites. The type of skill set. The past winners, he says, we mentioned a lot of guys. Webb did come up, but just that type of player that you should be looking for and the range to be bet in, you had a lot of guys sort of there and just weren't looking at Webb.
Yeah, a lot of people were. It was a good week for the whole
like when you
golf
talk
community.
about all those random guys that have won here, kind of, they all were like had veteran pedigree. Like and you put Webb's name with them, and kind of lines up very well. I mean, granted, Jason Day won this recent. Like there have been some really premier players.
Yeah,
that
Tigers won, Phil's won, but like even when Scott won, when
Ames.
Stenson won, and like those guys, they were still up and coming. Like they weren't who they are now. So anyway, back to this week. Spieth's a member. People always overrate this. Like I've already gotten messages from people on Twitter being like, "You need to have course experience here." It's like, yeah, of course you're going to say that. You're a member at the course. But every time we get into these whole thing about guys a member at this course, the conditions don't play the same way as they play every other time you played it.
That is sort of the biggest point.
And we're in Dallas, and what do we say every year at this tournament with Jordan Spieth? Because he never plays well at the Byron Nelson. Why? Because this is Jordan Spieth All-Star Week.
Yeah.
He has commitments to do everything, getting tickets for family, for friends. He's the poster boy for this tournament. I think it just weighs on you.
A couple things. I do agree with that, with the hometown event and all that matters. I would think maybe now, in the previous year, Spieth has come in with enough cachet, in current form cachet or trophies within the season, that it was kind of like
Isn't this exactly where Spieth was last year?
Was it?
Yeah. And then he won the Travelers, then he won the Open.
DeLuca, didn't he?
No, he won. He lost to Kisner. He blew it against Kisner at Dean DeLuca. Then he won the Travelers, that chip in out of the bunker. Then he went on and won the Open Championship.
Okay, this is the first PGA event that's ever been played here.
Yes.
This is, you alluded to it as the biggest reason why you would want to fade Spieth. Yes, he's a member. But unlike a place, say, off the top of my head, like Quail Hollow, where tons of guys are members, they've played a PGA Tour setup at Quail Hollow 10, 8, 6, 14 times. This will be the first time that it will be set up for a PGA Tour event. It will be a different course than Jordan Spieth plays it with your dads, for like the same course that the guys you're speaking to that are members, the local guys with their 9 handicaps. So that is always a concern. Because yes, there will be advantages, but he'll hit shots on that course from a place he's been 100 times before that will be exponentially different.
I agree, and even some of the corporate setups and things like that all around the course might shift how you have to play certain holes. They're going to put stands in. They're going to put tents in. It's not just going to be completely wide open like you'd be used to it. But I guess I agree that the local knowledge is going to be big because, hey, like I mentioned, these greens where they're like serial bolt. Hey, if I'm down in this spot, I can putt from here, or in this condition I have to play a flop shot. That stuff will matter. But I think that mitigates what Spieth's advantage is here over having to do 18 million interviews, that kind of thing. Maybe I'm projecting onto this because I don't want Jordan Spieth to win. But I think these are all reasonable concerns we can have.
No, and I think that's a fair case. But where I think maybe certain looks will be different, where they'll probably be the same and where he'll really be comfortable is on the greens.
Maybe, but if they've slowed down the greens, then they're different. So basically what we're saying is you're playing this with a lot of blind information this week. So just honestly, just go with the guys that you feel like potentially set up well or in good form or you just want to back. And that's what I'm doing. Grace and Leishman. Boom. There's my top.
I really like both. Well, both of them fit very well into sort of, I guess for starters, your Chambers Bay kind of explanation of this course. Links looking.
Leishman? What do you do here? You score on par 4s, marginally on par 5s, which he does. The best part of your game needs to be your irons. That's Mark Leishman.
Yeah.
What if it gets windy? Great wind.
No,
player.
Leishman,
and it's Texas. He's an Aussie. Yeah. Perfect.
Leishman would probably be my favorite pick of the week. Of everyone you named, you start at 25, you go all the way back. You said it's even as high as 28.
I got it at 20. It's 28 on 365 right now, and Brendan Grace is still 25 there. I immediately took that. As long as I
could see both them playing well. Jimmy Walker would be the next guy I'd consider, but I would probably lean Leishman and Grace ahead of Walker. Walker's been playing very strong lately. Horschel, I don't care. Not at that number, not for me, never. And Adam Scott, I don't know, man. He just needs a strong week because he's got U.S. Open.
Yeah, he has
juju,
to. He has to get to the top 60 in the world
him.
for the U.S. Open too, because he's played, I believe, in the most consecutive majors now. Because Phil backed out last year in the U.S. Open like a coward. But with Adam Scott, he needs to get himself into the top 60. I think he needs to have a top 10 here. The one thing I don't understand is for all the shade, like the past few weeks, I've been betting Adam Scott, using Adam Scott on DraftKings, and people are like, Adam Scott sucks. Da, da, da. People get all upset about Adam Scott every single week. Why does his odds drop to better than Leishman's odds? I don't get that.
Name value, but I don't know.
Leishman had a bad Sunday at the Players. That's it. He actually had kind of a good week. Outside of that round, he was 7 under going into the final day. It's not like he's and he just didn't have a top 10 at the Masters.
My only concern for Leishman is this tournament might not be like big enough for him.
What do you mean? Oh yeah, because he races his game.
Yeah, he only seems to show up like
he's won the Travelers Championship.
He shows up at the leaderboards. He shows up in like the most Bay Hill, which is pretty prestigious, and he's lurked at a lot of majors. I guess same with Grace outside of Heritage. They do fit the strategy element of the layout, the links look of the course should have them maybe more comfortable.
Yeah, but
it's the Aussie Texas factor too with the wind
that goes
for both of these players. I know Grace is South African, but
he plays very well in the wind.
Very well in the wind.
Apparently, according to Spieth, well, it isn't a link-style course. It's not going to play like a link-style course. Like, the approaches are going to have to come in high and drop. There's not going to be a whole lot of like, I'm going to play it off that mound over there, and it's going to roll up the back of the green and do all that. Maybe if it gets super windy, you're going to have to try out some of that stuff. So that's why I think more... Bodo told me a lot like St. Andrews. Because St. Andrews doesn't play like a traditional link-style course.
And then Leishman losing a playoff to Spieth at St. Andrews?
That he did. No, not to Spieth. Zach Johnson.
Sorry, Spieth missed the playoff by a stroke.
Yes, with Day.
Louis was also in the playoff?
He was also in that playoff, correct. But it just, that sort of, like, it's going to be an iron course. Like, you can put it out to wherever you want. You want to have the right angle to get in to hit your most comfortable shot. Hit something in, be able to deal with the wind, and boom, make your birdies when they come.
No love for Kuchar, or it's just the wind,
I like Kuchar, but like if you're going to tell me Kuchar's right there, he's like second in DraftKings pricing, right? And he's significantly more expensive than Sergio, and like almost $1,000 more expensive than Hideki. Like it just
from a DraftKings perspective, because they assume he's safe, just safer.
Yeah, but do you want to pay that? Like, do you want to pay for the second highest guy on the board because he's safe? Maybe if you think Kuchar can win, sure. I might actually like him a little bit more than Spieth here, just because you have to spend so much for Spieth, no matter what you're talking about. But I kind of feel the same way about Kuchar. Coming into the week, I didn't realize how weak this field was. I was like, if I can get Kuchar at a reasonable number, then I'm going to like him. But I just don't think that he's better than Sergio or Hideki, or I don't think that he's that much better than Walker or Grace or Leishman or Scott. To be perfectly honest with you, I don't think he's that much better. Do you?
No. At least also in terms of safe, like to me, Leishman's as safe as any of these guys. Watch him miss the cut, but that's just how I feel.
Well, you're dealing with so many unknowns at this course, right? You don't know how it's going to play. Maybe it's a shorter hitting paradise. Maybe you have to be a bomber. Like, we're not going to... In a good week, when we have 2 decades worth of data at a golf course, we screw it up every single time. Now we have no data to work off of, and we're going to try to project what type of player is going to play well? No. Like, that's... If you think that you can have that good of a grasp on it, I just go to the stock market or something. Like, figure that out. That'll lead you in a better path. So, out of those favorites, like, I don't know, Grace and Leishman are the 2 names I just keep coming back to. And I want it to be as windy as possible if that happens.
Yeah.
But like you mentioned, where this correlates in terms of field strength with Valero, should we even be giving too much consideration to these guys at the top when we saw a leaderboard full of guys that just came out of nowhere?
Well, Zach and Moore were there.
So was
at
Walker.
The top.
So was Sean O'Hare
for a bit, yeah.
But
that's a good point. When it came down to it,
200
to 1 and 150 to like between 150 and 200 to 1, we're fighting for the tournament.
Yep.
It's a good point.
So, Anyway,
But I don't know. When the fields are so weak, I'm always a sucker for that range that's outside of the top for skill set that's being undervalued. And that points me right to Leishman, that's for sure.
Yeah, like I said, Leishman, Grace. I think Scott's overvalued.
Good for him.
I kind of like how he sets up here. I'm not going to lie to you.
And you've been betting him a lot lately at these numbers that are just, you hope that like the second it clicks, he can, find whatever made Bubba great again. But it hasn't happened. Well, I don't think it's not happened to the extent people like to like joke about it, but I'm not comfortable enough to pull any Adam Scott bets.
I mean, if he was 40, it'd be my first play.
Of course it would.
But if you're going to give me Leishman at a better number and Grace at a better number, I'd just rather take those two guys.
And like this whole next, I don't have a play in the 30s or the 40s, to be honest.
Yeah, so this next range is kind of sneaky here. So it's
small.
It's very small. So you got Hostler, Snedeker, Wise, 33, 40, 35. Aaron Wise is 35 to 1. That's fun. Charles Howell, 40. Sabatini, 60. Uline, 60. Piercy, 50. Grayson, 55. Knox, 70. McDowell, 55. Martin Laird, 45. Palmer, 55. Kevin Na, 55, who was absolutely buried in the DraftKings pricing.
Fantastic DraftKings play.
He's going to have, I would assume he's going to be the chalkiest guy on the board. Just based on, like the only guy I really want to play from there.
I got stars beside two names.
One of them's Grayson. It's got to be, right?
One of them is Grayson. He is a Texan, right? Or he just acts like one.
What does that mean?
I don't know. That was a joke.
I don't know. I don't know. Sure. Just say yes. Guys playing fire, man. 14th, 14th, miscut, 16th, 59th, 30th. The players playing well. Losing strokes with approach, though. Just getting them all off the tee and around the greens.
That could work here.
I think that's going to be an approach course, though. I like the number. I think it's a fair number versus like Grayson at 55 or Wise at 35. It's Grayson, right?
I'm not really even considering betting Wise.
Coming off a good week. Like people are all over Hostler. Tim's pick, by the way, Bo Hostler. I'm sure he just found out, searched a name, which name sounds fun, and he saw Bo Hostler. I think it's the first time he's ever heard of the guy. Now he's picking him in one and done.
Yeah, listen. How about my boy who shot out of a cannon lately, Uline?
When you say shot out of a cannon lately, he had one good round, and now he's back?
Okay. Come on, give it to me.
Do you want him?
I do.
Why?
I don't think he's been that off with his approaches, and he's just got to get hot with the putter.
He was so hot with the putter at Wells Fargo. That's the only reason he played so well.
It's time for me to get back on the wagon.
Okay.
Listen, I'm not here to bet Chesson Hadley at a 22 to 1, so I got money to spend.
Honestly, Sabatini might be a better bet. Sabatini.
He is too many leaderboards.
He's every single week. He's up there at some point.
Been seeing a lot of Sabatini on television lately.
Which is not good because it takes him 5 hours to complete a round.
A lot of Sabatini on TV. I've been noticing.
Remember that time he yelled at Ben Crane for playing too slowly and walked off the green?
That was the best.
Professional jerk, Rory Sabatini.
How about a couple guys? I don't know if I would pull the trigger, but
I got three guys from that middle range though. Like Graham McDowell's 55 to 1. You want Graham McDowell?
No,
it gets
but
super windy. Maybe
there's two guys sandwiching him. He's always a Valero darling and Laird.
45 though.
Short.
Better DraftKings play.
Knox at 70. I don't trust him, but the skill set that you mentioned can work for him.
One of the things that I looked at birdie or better percentage over the past 24 rounds, Grayson comes in third in that category. Keith Mitchell, Jordan Spieth, Grayson Murray, top three. Martin Laird is sixth. So that's interesting. He's making a ton of birdies. Yeah, and he's making them on par fours. That's exactly what you want to see. And you mentioned he's won in Texas before. And when the wind comes up, party Marty, it's time to party.
Certainly not playing Knox, even though I mentioned his name.
Yeah, I'm not playing Knox either. The one interesting name here is Snedeker. I know he shot 10 over in the first round last week. That was his first bad round in a really long time, and followed it up with an even par day. He's played well through that Texas swing a little bit earlier. Like if you're telling me 40 to 1 still seems like it's a bit short for how he's been playing. But like Wise, Hostler, these guys, like Snedeker's a good player. And slow greens, he's gonna make every putt.
He brings win equity to a field that has very little. And yeah, you hope he can just be in the fairway off the tee, so he can just be on the green.
But there's no real rough here though. And the fairways are like 100 yards wide. Like whether you're short or long, as long as you can get to where you need to get to off the tee, I think you're fine.
All right. Well,
good sand player too, if it comes down to that. But before the players, he was 15th at the Valero. He was 23rd at RBC. He gained a ton of strokes through approach. He lost 7.5 strokes through approach last week. That's what happens when you shoot 82 in the first round. But there's no water here really to go into.
I'll give you that.
I'm giving Snedeker from this range, Snedeker and Murray are getting my attention. So on Wednesday, when it comes down to it, and I release my sheet, facebook.com/thepme, where I'll have all that, you might see one of those two names on there.
I like Murray more, but I see...
You're getting a better number on him.
No interest for me, but we're in Texas, so Ryan Palmer's name comes up for people.
Yeah, I'm not doing
Okay, pass. So now let's have an exciting conversation.
Okay, so this last range, this long range here, I got 3 guys.
Oh, okay.
All at 90 to 1 that I'm in on.
Okay, hold on a second. Is one of them... There's 2 kids at 90 to 1 here, which I find kind of fun.
Yeah, one of them I'm on, the other one I'm off. You can have Maverick McNeely. I'll take Neiman.
I wanted first pick there. Well, good thing we can both have them. The Chilean Wonder Boy, Das Wonder Kid, Joaquin Neiman. I guess because his name was Joachim, I thought. I had a neighbor named Joachim, and it was from France, so I thought that he was from France initially.
Oh, he's not? Or did you just get the Chilean flag confused?
No, I
with the
know
French
the
flag?
Chilean flag well. I know French flag well.
So
as well. Is JB Holmes the senior of that group?
He is the senior of that group.
Because where were we recently that he scored? Was it Valero?
I think it was Shell.
You know, both the Valero and Shell were more... Well, Valero more specifically, driving, I'd argue, was more important, was it not?
Yes, absolutely. He's just not scoring well right now is his problem. Although he has been scoring 17th best in the field on par 4s over the past 24 rounds, which is really nice to see. I like JB in Texas. That's where I'm going at here. He has no real great finishes. He's been putting atrociously. But I just think it's JB Holmes. Come on, it's a big number. And yeah, I'm playing Keith Mitchell with that number too. Keith Mitchell, another guy. Big on the first round leaderboard. Not so much the rest of the tournament.
I joked. He kind of feels like the new Scott Brown.
But the complete opposite player.
Well, I just mean about like Thursday, just always flirting with a Thursday leaderboard.
And then he makes the cut, and then he's that guy that almost gets MDF on Saturday.
What's up with ROM Saturdays at the Players?
I don't know, man.
Because you think like he can play it like last year. Okay, he's fine. Debutant like appearance there, he's fine. And then even this year, like before Webb goes off, like, I don't know if any of these guys at the 6 are going to charge.
It'd be Rome. Instead, he just went the other way.
Because it was gettable at times. You will be betting Keith Mitchell first round leader.
Yeah, I wonder what that number will be. Probably 66. I'll probably play it either way. Yeah, it's just I have no real backing for what draws me to JB Holmes. Where this is a tournament where we don't really know how the course plays. Why not, right? Ooh.
Do you want to go farther?
We can go farther. But before we get too far down the list, I do want to talk about Bill Haas for a second. Just almost like JB Holmes, he's 80 to 1. He's Bill Haas. No, he did not play well last week. No, he did not play well the week before. Or the week before that, although he did make the cut at Valero. But has gained strokes on approach the last 2 weeks. He just lost off the tee, lost on the greens. He even lost around the green somehow last week, and he's one of the premier around the green players on tour. It just seems really strange that he's 80 to 1 here.
Yeah, I'll give you that. I mean, anyone in this field with half the name value seems to have had their number cut.
Except for him.
A bit. There's a few guys up there in that 50 range I would consider betting him over. I don't think he's got a better chance of winning than Graham McDowell. I don't even care what the stats say.
I think Bill Haas has a better chance of winning than Ryan Palmer does.
Could have been I could have said that name as well. I mean, he's got the same number as English and Kodiara.
I think it's interesting. If
Yeah,
nothing
no,
else.
that's I'll tell you this, I like that more than Snedeker. Because I almost bring it equal to the table. Like, if one of them gets going, to me, they have the same chance of getting that, like, putting themselves in the spot to win, and one of them's double the odd.
Yes.
Like, I have just as much confidence in Haas to have a good Thursday, Friday, to tee off in a position to move on Saturday as I do with Brent Snedeker.
Yeah, I can get behind that. And if it becomes one of these...
I'm not saying Snedeker can't win or won't win.
Sure. But you're also getting double the odds on one guy. And you don't think that... Do you think that Snedeker has double the chances of winning with Bill Haas?
And like you said, there's so little win equity in this field. Especially in like, once you're over 50-1, who literally has any win equity? Cody Hara, sorry.
Yeah. Kadira,
sorry.
So from the 100-1 and above range...
I got one.
I got 2. Maybe 3. And one of them is just going to be a top 5. One of them is Garrigus. Why not?
Texas?
Texas. Ball striker. Maybe putting won't be a big of a factor.
Hope it's hot so we get those sweaty pants.
First round leader for sure. Put it that way. The other two, I'm going to back JJ Spawn.
Of course.
I went and looked at Spawn because I've been off of Spawn for a while now since the injury. And I was like, what's he up to? Oh, I just kind of stopped paying attention. But he's still gaining strokes through approach. The guy just cannot putt anymore. It's really bizarre. So maybe this is a spot for him to get back on track. We'll see, but he's 150 with the each way. The other one was Tyler Duncan, who just rated out really well, ball striking wise. He can't putt. Guy legit can't putt. Maybe that changes. 175. So those were the two bombs I was kind of looking at.
The Duncan one, I don't mind. Wow, it's so funny because this is where Na is on DraftKings.
I know. So everyone's going to take Na. The other one was Hudson Swafford, who's 275-1.
He must be so lost.
I mean,
I don't even think I've seen him on like a 40th place scroll in months even.
Was he gone full Smiley?
I don't know. Doesn't mean I didn't miss it. Garrigus 250s. That's pretty big.
But yeah, I mean, I can get a significantly historically better player in Hudson Swafford for a longer odd.
Anything for Summer Haze?
You just love Summer Haze, man. I got no feel for Summer
Haze.
Okay,
the guy over 100-1 that caught my eye first would be Hahn at 110.
Hahn has lost his approaches, but he is a guy that can come out of nowhere and just win. 2 career wins. We've seen it. But he was hot to begin the year. He has not been hot lately.
And I know, I think Ben Martin started his tournament off with a triple.
Yeah, last week.
Any love there?
No. Maybe as a first-round leader. But, like, I kind of want to attack someone. Oh, you know who the other one I played was? Richie...
Warinsky.
Warinsky, 150.
Yeah.
I can never say his name properly.
No love for baby swag Marty Pillar?
No.
First-round leader?
I guess the other one I was giving, like if I was going to play the Texas angle, I'd give
Tommy?
The Gribbler a look.
Tommy Two Gloves.
Well, Tommy Two Gloves isn't... There are some hilarious names in this field. We got Daniel Chopra in the field. But now, I got to figure out what Ryan Armour's up to, because he's 200-1. And he seems like a significantly better player than everyone else in this range. Armour Hot Dogs, what have you been up to?
He's been I don't know, he's been on a couple bottom side leaderboards.
Yeah, he had his run. He has not been playing well whatsoever. So now, X to him. Yeah, I would go with Gribble over Pillar. We're just going to go random tech. Gribble played well last week with the players, too. Maybe this is a secret lefty course that we just don't know about.
Well, David Hearn's back.
What's and?
I don't know. Weren't we looking for him a couple weeks ago?
At Zurich, because that's where he plays well.
Oh, yeah, that was with Seamus Power. That's right. Your boy, B. Todd?
Yeah, B. Todd, former winner of this event when he beat Mike Weir 3 years ago.
I couldn't believe that. I don't know. Poston? No, I'm just naming.
Yeah, you're just naming names.
Okay, fine. At least this one has some cachet. Hunter Mahan.
No.
I'm not betting it, but at Dallas, that's where he sold his house. Jordan lives in his house in Dallas.
He probably does, like, local spots for used car dealerships
Don't
in
see
Dallas.
any more Ace Hardware commercials, do we?
No.
Yeah, that's what happens.
Unless they were, like, the marquee sponsor of that Dominican Republic event, then no. Rough times for Hunter Mahan.
Trying to think. No, I don't know, because I'm just staring at this range a little extra hard based on our silly talk about how Valero
At
ended.
least that week, we had, like, Mullenix and Landry. Like, there were certain guys that people congregated around that made sense. This week, I just don't see them.
Yeah, we see him as the Das Wonder Kid.
Based on the modeling that I have come up with, and that includes like ball striking, par 4, par 5, approach, around the green just a little bit, and birdies are better. Past 24 rounds, it's spitting out Spieth. Spieth's just across the board by the stats the best play, which makes a lot of sense because he's Spieth. Grayson, Sabatini, Scott, Kuchar. Once we start getting to like other weird names, Laird, Troy Merritt is one that pops up. Corey Connors pops up. Kevin Tway.
Yeah, I saw Tway and Kraft kind of.
Kraft is a Texas guy too. The Gooch. Dahmen, Garrigus. Stephanie, another Texas guy. If it gets super windy, you might want to get some Alex Chekia in your life. Great wind player.
Sam Ryder.
Yeah, he's 46th in the past 24 rounds. Lanto, if you just like someone who makes a ton of birdies. Lanto makes himself some birdies. A lot of bogeys, in fairness, but Lanto probably more of a first-round leader.
No love for you and like Aaron Badley making your first-round leader card?
He might. Oh, the other guy I wanted to mention was Putnam.
Michael or Andrew?
Andrew Putnam, he's actually 110 to 1, so he's way lower than they've noticed that he's playing a lot better.
That right there is a sign.
He's 7th in approach over the past 24 rounds in this field. And he was 82nd at Wells Fargo, 8th at Valero, 32nd at Shell, and 5 at Corrales. I mean, this field isn't significantly better than the Corrales field. It just has names at the top.
A guy not on your list, but I've seen on 2 betting boards, but I would believe... Did Reavie withdraw?
Yes. There was a mass withdraw from this morning. Like Hadley withdrew, Stricker withdrew, Shez withdrew, Bryce Garnett withdrew, Mullenix withdrew. So that kind of hurt because those are like 5 viable guys. Okay. The picks. The betting board. I just don't have any feel for this week whatsoever, so I'll take a few shots. Like I mentioned, I'm going with Grayson Leishman, 25 and 28 from the top of the card. Then I'm going all the way down to 90 and playing that troika of players, JB Holmes, Keith Mitchell, and Joaquin Niemann. And I'm just taking some each-way flyers on Spawn, Duncan, and Werenski. That's all I'm in for right now. Might play a top 10 on Garrigus. I might give Bill Haas an extra look. But I'll have all my full picks and first-round leaders, everything like that, head-to-heads potentially, come out on Wednesday afternoon after I do the live chat, which is 1:30 p.m. Eastern Time on the DraftKings YouTube channel. Where are you going?
Really interested in that JB Holmes, but I see it at 75.
Oh, shocking. Bodog's giving you worse odds.
Did you mention Bill Haas in that?
Yeah, I haven't bet him, but I said I'm going to give him a harder look.
Yeah. Okay, for me, Leishman for sure. I do also like where you're going with Grace, Uline, and Grayson Murray. Grayson. Be on the same card. That is where I am, and Das Wonder Kid.
Neiman?
Yeah.
I want to, before I commit to Bill Haas or anything else, and maybe I'll just not play a bunch this week, I do want to give an extra look to that Sergio Hideki and just kind of figure out what's going on with them because their odds are too high for this field. And what time would anyone bet Matt Kuchar over Sergio and Hideki? Would you? Ever? I know I bet Matt Kuchar before, but usually we get him at like triple the odds of these guys. Now they're worse odds? There's something fishy about that to me.
Hideki hasn't been...
Good?
Yeah, he's had a couple rough starts. I mean, he came back from the wrist, and he kind of started, like, fine. Like, you saw, like, enough to not sort of be worried. But here we are almost, like, 2 months from that, and haven't really seen much.
Well, from the long-term model that I put out, 2012 to now, which was the key last week, here's who rates out the best. Spieth, Hideki, Kuchar, Scott, Sergio, Haas, Leishman, Walker, Charles Howell, Palmer, Knox, Garrigus, Piercy, Brandon DeJong, who will definitely be on my first-round leaderboard, and Harris English. Gonna make note of that right now. Where are you at, DeJong? 500 to 1?
Harris English.
Your buddy, Harris English.
Yeah.
And in the short term, it's like Keith Mitchell, Troy Merritt, Wawrinski, like I mentioned. That's over the last 12.
Sam Saunders?
No. Not Sam Saunders. This tournament sucks, man.
I'm gonna just bring up a Belgium knockout.
Can we get to our one and dones first?
Oh yeah.
I won last week with Tiger Woods over John Rahm. Tim went back to his usual one and doneness with a guy who missed the cut. Sorry, Francesco. So for this week, not a bad spot to use Kuchar. I haven't used Grace yet, so I'll use Grace. You.
A lot of guys, it's not really a bad place to use them. Leishman.
Leishman? Haven't used Leishman yet?
I imagine they'll both be very popular.
I would think so. It might.
I mean, even any of these guys, Jimmy Walker finally playing well in Texas. I mean,
he could be popular.
Ride that form.
If you were going to do I remember I hit big with Sergio here a few years ago. Not at this course, but at the Byron Nelson. Only because he was the guy from the top end that no one touched. So I think that Sergio and Hideki make very compelling one and done plays, just because I don't think many people will use them or have used them in the past. But like people will use Adam Scott this week more than them, Jimmy Walker, like you mentioned, Grace, Leishman. Hell, people are going to be using Bo Hostler, Tim's pick.
Brooks used to play Irma because 2 years ago, it's a
Put in the
different
drink.
course. He'd lost to Sergio. He's finally let Sergio win. It was Brooks for Lily. Lily turns 2 this week.
No, that wasn't. Oh, is it?
Yeah,
was
time flies. Yeah, because last
she turns
year
2?
2. Because last year, who won this event?
Horschel.
Horschel
beat
and
Day
the
in the
year
playoff.
before was Sergio.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you were going to donate all that money to St. Jude.
No, I donated. That was the St. Jude, though.
Oh.
That's a separate tournament.
Oh, okay. That was
So
different.
when
then.
Berger wins.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's correct. That's where they're going to be playing that WGC.
Berger's got to keep his T50. 50.
Well, when he wins St. Jude again this year, he'll be in the T50 by the time it comes
It'll
around.
actually be really funny. Like, even if he finishes like 6th this year, let's just say at the St. Jude, what his odds will be at that WGC in Memphis in a year and a half from now, or whenever they finally release that schedule, which it's going to be a lot different.
Yeah, we'll talk about the schedule once it comes out. Like, I don't want to speculate. We did speculate a little bit, but I don't want to speculate too much on it.
Do you know that incident that Barnrat had on 17, I think, cost him full status?
Oh, really?
He's got enough now. Like, there's no way he doesn't earn it because he's too good.
Well, there's a couple guys like that in play right now. Like, Neiman is just on the sponsor's exemption. So is Matt McNeely. Like, if Neiman gets another top 10, I think he's good. I think he's accrued enough points that he would get, like, rest of the season status. It's a big week for him. I hope he wins.
Yeah. Texas was where he had that big week.
That's why that's one of the reasons that I played JB, just Texas. Yeah. And Grace has played well in Texas too. He's played well in Valero.
This is the field Charlie Hoffman would always be in.
Where are you, Charlie Hoffman?
Right?
What would he be in this field? 20?
Yeah, 18. I don't know.
He'd be the 20. Same as Hideki?
Yeah.
All right. Do you want to say some more about Belgium?
I looked at it. I don't know. EVR. Always playing well. Sam Horsfield, Lucas Herbert.
Lucas Ebel?
Oh, I don't know. Shoot, there's 2 Herberts.
Well, who's
Which is the one everyone is like in love with?
I believe that's
Benjamin
Lucas.
or Lucas?
I thought that was Lucas. Lucas Ebel. I think he ended up rallying for top 5 last week.
Jordan Smith. I don't know.
Jordan L. Smith. Is that his name?
I'm gonna make a thing here because Samit just survived those first 2 days and he got some fun match play tickets.
Yeah, I don't know any. When I listen to Golflandia, I'll see what Baroff has to say.
Yeah,
he's a bit more plugged into the Euro.
Very much plugged
than we
in.
are.
But I don't know. This could be like to them be like pure gimmick they don't want a part of too.
Maybe. Usually a good time. I mean, you've already won at a gimmick event this year.
Yeah.
So we'll see what we can do with this. If anyone has more information, please pass it on my way because we're playing in the dark here. This is probably the least interesting tournament we've talked about all year. Poor Byron Nelson, man. You get saddled with this nonsense.
Does he have a statue at the other course?
Maybe they move it. I don't know.
I got nothing. I want to make a bet with Tim. He says the Jets are winning the Super Bowl. I think they're going to draft again in the top 5.
You and like stats seem to agree.
And I don't mind them, but I don't know where he gets it. Like, was he out to lunch on the Jets before he became a Twitter person?
It just gave him more of a platform to espouse his ridiculous Jets view. However, it's gotten worse, yeah. He was telling me yesterday how the Jets are going to be this year's Rams. And it's like, oh yeah, they have all the pieces. They have the underrated receiving core, really underrated running back.
Doesn't he hate his coach?
Yeah, he hates the coach. Who the hell is your underrated quarter running back? He's like, Isaiah Crowell's so good. I mean, Todd Gurley good? Yeah. All right,
that's what I wanted to ask him. What unit on the Jets is like really good? Like what positional grouping is really good?
Well, according to him, quarterback.
In 2020, maybe.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. You watching that? Oh, there was something I wanted to talk to you about. It made my week. So I've been following this. You know how little I follow hockey. But the Leafs drafted a new GM, or not drafted, they hired a new GM. And he's like 32, wears thick rimmed glasses, and loves analytics. And people in hockey, Canadian hockey, media, Canadian hockey people, very upset. It's hilarious.
Do you want to know something?
You know him.
I don't know him directly, and I have never met him. But my closest group of friends, 5 or 6 of the 10 guys in my home fantasy football league that have existed before we went to college, went to the same university as him in the same program here in St. Catharines, Ontario. And they're all hardcore Leaf fans, and they didn't ever really become friends with them. And one of my friends who's incredibly brash just keeps going back to the fact that he beat him in 2 hockey pools. It is so funny. But it's he's living the dream of these guys who went in that program. Now, granted, the kid Dubas, who is now the GM of the Leafs, his family owned an OHL team. So that's how I guess he got started in...
I don't really care. I think this sort of thing in hockey is a smart move. Because we've seen that and he's not the first analytics guy. I believe Phoenix had hired one before, and I'm sure that there's some floating around in NHL front offices. But we've seen first to the scene type advanced stats guys in sports, in whatever sport it was, had a lot of success very quickly. Whether it be in baseball, that first wave of going from Billy Beane to Epstein in Boston, then that translated over. Now everyone does it. Yeah. And then you see in basketball, Daryl Morey, and then you come in with Henke, and then Memphis did kind of the same thing when they hired Hollinger. You got that quick influx. It worked right away. Then everyone just kind of caught up. Football is starting to go that way a little bit too, that people are catching up. In hockey, I mean, these guys might as well be from 1943. Is he the last guy off the ice? Oh, he's a good Canadian boy. Get him on the team. That's what you're not looking enough at. Great. No one cares about your fancy numbers there, bud.
The Jets have more Americans than any team in forever.
Can't win the cup. Too many Americans.
Hope not. I love the Jets.
If you have that many Americans on your team, you can't win at the hockey.
I don't know. People are nervous because it's a young kid. He's never had the job, and people who are familiar with hockey feel like the Leafs have a 4 or 5 year window to be very
But it
good.
seems like the team that they've constructed is a good team. It's a young team. So if you're going to come in with something new and innovative, wouldn't this be the right type of team to deploy it with? People who are of an age where they can understand some of the stuff. It was like the Tampa stuff for so long with Joe Madden. Joe Madden didn't really get what was going on, but he trusted Friedman enough to go along with what he said, put it and implemented it into his system, and just went that way, and it worked. Yeah. Now, I find that sabermetrics and advanced analytics, especially when you start introducing them as new, tend to work better for really unskilled and bad franchises to make them better and make them competitive. It'll be very interesting to see what happens here with a franchise that looks like it's on the right direction. They got knocked out the first round of the playoffs, but they seem like they have good players. They're going the right way. That this might be just something to push them over the edge, come up with some new concepts. I think it's smart. And I really do enjoy how much people hate it. It just makes me crack up.
But who hates it?
Hockey people. the same people that want to hockey fight you at the bar every time you go out.
But these are like the same people that are probably the team they've been cheering for, the team that they work for forever. They're jealous that, like, they're cheering against Vegas because how's it possible to do it at a snap of a finger?
I guess so. I think it's more of he's the last guy. He gets the bags off the bus for everyone. That kind of guy. Like, your typical, like, Canadian hockey dude. The guy that feels like he's been hit in the head with 2x4 28 times in a row.
So Cherry.
Yeah, but Cherry's like 90, so that's probably not fair. Apparently,
I know what you mean.
Apparently he can still drive. Which seems kind of crazy at this point. But, like, you know who I'm talking about, right?
Yeah, hockey guy.
Buds.
Live it.
Buds.
Live it.
Weekends are for the boys, buds.
Pitter patter, let's get at her.
Yeah, these morons. They really hate it. Dem payers dos. Got payer dos.
I like hockey. I don't know.
You know how
I
much...
just feel like there's no rhyme or reason to hockey.
Paul, you're a Leafs fan. Yay or nay on this guy?
My close friends that are involved in hockey say that this guy's been running the team from the background for years.
So, yay.
So, yeah, I'm pretty excited about it.
Good.
Like, you just give her, you hope there's loose pucks in front of the net, and you just bang her home.
Well, I think that's about as much hockey talk as you're going to hear on this show.
Go Jets, go.
Over the course of 12 months.
Tim has the Jets to win the cup. If they win the cup, that'll catch my future. But does that mean, like, he's going to believe, like, people are going to...
Well, the thing about Tim is he makes, like, 3,000 predictions a year. Eventually he's going to stumble into some correct
And then, like,
ones.
Webb's up 9. He's like, it's over. And people are like, oh, please don't say that. And then Webb wins. He's like, I told you guys not to worry.
Yeah, I told you he'd win. It's like you took something that had a 99% chance of winning and then claimed it as like it was a 50-50 proposition here. No. But I like it when he actually hits when people are like, the curse is over. It's like, yeah, you wait. It's like you haven't been around long enough with it. We did it. We were able to dedicate an entire 2-hour-long show to his bad predictions just from last year.
Yeah, it's true.
And so far this year, we're up to, and it's not just like he got this wrong.
Yeah.
It's you get something spectacularly wrong. We already had like 17 of them for this year.
Insane ones.
Very bad ones.
Like, there are big ones that I'm sure you can remember, and I don't even, like, care for it, but, like, Canada curling not medaling in anything.
Yeah, Kansas City losing to the Titans is probably the best one.
They had a mixed doubles curling, but you know what I'm talking about. Yeah, it's like, yeah.
Oh yeah, that guy, the biathlon guy.
Oh.
The guy who couldn't lose. And he was an overwhelming favorite out of the medals. And he was bragging about how good his Mets pick was like 2 weeks ago. Not so much anymore.
No.
The Giants, everyone got hurt on the Giants. He made the pick of the Giants, and then later that day, Madison Bumgarner got hurt for the year.
That's the best.
See, just watch out. I think it just took the week off because usually he picks the Derby winner correctly, but his Derby pick came in last, so therefore he had to hit a golf winner to even out that weekend for him. That's what I would attribute to. And don't say things to him like you're on a mini heater, because then I have to deal with it on a text. So Jeff thinks I am, so of course there's no curse.
I was just trying to calm down our good buddy Gup. But another big win.
I know,
Killing it.
Gup is just I have Ulrich on the show tomorrow, too.
Oh, he won?
Ulrich hit Webb.
Hey, big. And my buddy Pizzola had a huge
I saw
win.
that.
Huge. So,
I
congrats
wonder,
to
though,
everybody.
I saw he had like $222 on Webb to win. What's he betting on everyone else?
I've seen his sheets. You win big, you lose big.
Yeah.
He bets like 4 guys a week.
Okay.
He bets them hard.
Then that's a huge win, then.
Yeah. Huge.
Huge. All right, that'll do it for the very boring Byron Nelson, AT&T Byron Nelson show.
Very boring.
Some housekeeping notes. Become a member at Fantasy National. I'm not going to be here for the memorial, so off week. But I will be here for next week. I'm going on vacation.
Have fun.
It's going to be fun. I have 2 bachelor parties in 3 weeks. I need to take a week just to
Fine.
calm myself down. And it's like U.S. Open's the week after. Well, it's not the week after. St. Jude's the week after, but I start doing all the U.S. Open stuff the week after. So I need to get in the right zone, go do some writing, come up with some fun concepts. Can't do what I did for the Masters. I tried to get everyone involved, and it worked, but it took way too much time to put together. So.
And Justin Rose didn't win.
And Justin Rose didn't win like everyone thought they would.
Yeah.
But I think I'll get.
I
think I'll get everyone to make a pick.
Yeah.
From around, but I was trying to get 6 different people to do this, 6 different people to do that. is just it's a lot of editing. It's just even to gather all the clips.
Yep, I know it.
Like I got stuff on the
believe it.
go.
Yeah,
Like trying to do the show and write the show.
seen it.
Yeah. But anyway, I'll try to involve as many people as possible. But Ulrich tomorrow for DraftKings picks. Live chat with Reed Fowler, 1:30 p.m. Eastern Time on the DraftKings YouTube channel. So tune in for that. Ask me all the questions you want. No, I don't have all the answers this week, like most weeks where I don't have the answers, but even fewer this week for me in terms of the Byron Nelson. You can follow me on Twitter at the PMEs, ditto for Instagram and Facebook, where my betting cheat sheet will be out Wednesday afternoon after the chat, or maybe I'll get frisky and release it before. We'll see. But I do like the question and answer period because I get to talk out some more things and maybe realize some angles that just I hadn't thought of yet that someone else wants to talk about, and I can look into them live on air and just walk you through the process. And something clicks in my mind, and boom, I want to be on that. DK Playbook, where my DraftKings cheat sheet will be on Tuesday. My full preview is already up now if you want to go check that out. And remember, subscribe to the Pat Mayo Experience podcast wherever you can download podcast audio version. It's free to download. I don't care if you listen, just download it and give me a rating if you would. It takes like 5 seconds, just like giving a like to the episode. Anyway, thanks for watching. I'm Pat Mayo. I'll see you next time.
Pat Mayo Experience! Experience!